Hi guys, and welcome back to Sew at Home Party. I'm coming at you today on a Saturday. This is the first video I think I posted this year. But today we're going to be talking about yarn. So give me just a second and I will show you what kind of yarn we're talking about. Alright guys, so today we are talking about yarn, and the reason why is I want to I just recently joined Ravelry and I created a group on Ravelry, so check it out. As you can see over here on my computer screen, this is my Ravelry page, and if I click down here, you'll see that this is my group. And so I created this for all crafters, but especially knitters and crocheters, and I'm going to have some stuff going on down here. Right now, I have two page or group threads going right now. Craft all the things. It is a thread for people who want to post things that they've made and show off their talents, or just whips that you have in process. And if you need questions or help on something, you know, we can discuss it there. This is a couple of the stuff I have on there already. And then if you go back to the group, let's see, I'm still getting used to how to go back on here, so let's just go back this way, and then you'll see 2019 Temp blanket, which is why we're talking yarn today, because that is what we are going to be doing. I decided for 2019 I wanted to try some new things with the channel, and so the first thing I want to try is having a cal. For those of you not sure what that is, it's a craft along or crochet along, depending on how you look at it. But basically we're going to have a project that you will work on throughout the year, and we'll come back to it time and time. Will be videos every week, because the cal we're going to do is a temperature blanket. And if you're not sure what that is a blanket that you use different colors of yarn, and I have some in there. I'm repurposing a coffee container to hold some yarn. But you take on my computer screen here, you take a picture, or you decide what colors you'd like for your temperature thermometer. And as you can see here, this one starts out, which is the one we're going to use for our blanket. You can use any temperature values you'd like, because if you'd like more colors in your blanket, then you would add different colors and spread out the temperature gauge list. But if you want to do the one we're doing here and follow along with me, this is the one we'll be using. So, and I believe I got this courtesy of the Crochet Crowd. Mikey did one, and this is the temperature gauge he liked. And I like it because it's a little simple. It simples it down. You don't have to have too many yarns to remember. And basically, you assign a color to the different range. So, on the bottom of this scale, the range starts out anything below 22 degrees or -6 degrees Celsius, depending on where you are in the world, would be this purple color. And then, so that's this color here. I'm going to use this purple here for that purple. And then the next color in the list shows this blue. I don't have a blue that I want to use there. So I changed this to be another purple color. So 23 degrees to 32 degrees Fahrenheit, or -5 to 0 Celsius. For our purpose is going to be this one. So these are the two purples. I think I actually mixed that up according to my list I have over here. Yes, the regular purple. So this purple, this purple is going to be for our below 22 degrees. Sorry about that. And this is going to be the one that's 23 degrees to 32. Okay, so then our next range is between 33 and 43 degrees, or 1 to 6 degrees Celsius. According to the list I'm making, that is going to be this green. And again, I will post in the description the colors that I'm using, and I just used his temperature gauge as a reference, but I have it all written out here, and I will type that up for us in the description box so that you'll have that. So we're going to use this green here for the 33 to 43 degrees. All right, so the next range is 44 degrees to 53 degrees, and that is going to be this blue that I have here. The one I'm using, I'm going to continue to use this one I'm using on another project, which I hope to have a tutorial out soon. So we're going to use this blue here. And then, so our next color, 54 degrees to 66 degrees, or 13 to 19 degrees Celsius, would be a light blue. Okay, so apparently I'm colorblind today because I keep mixing up my blues. So what I'm going to do here at the end, and I will lay them in order, in the order they're supposed to be. So actually, you know what? I'm just going to do that right now because apparently I keep messing it up. So I'm going to start here. So I apologize, guys. So, okay. So we're going to start with this first blue here, which is our below 22 degrees, or this first purple here, which is below 22 degrees. And then the light purple, which will be the 23 to 32 degrees. Our green will be 33 to 43 degrees. Our dark blue will be 45 to 53 degrees. And I'm not pulling it out, but this light blue will be 54 to 66 degrees. Our yellow, let's see, there's my yellow. Right there. Yellow will be 66 to 76 degrees. Our orange will be 78 to 88 degrees. And our red in there too will be anything above 87, or let's see, 89 degrees. And then I have this gray that I'm going to use in between the months. So how this works is every month, every week, you take the average of the average temperature for the week. So I have a calendar that I've written down every day what the high and low temperature was. And then you go ahead and you take the average of that and you will get your temperature. And then you'll know which color to pick. So let's say your average temperature for the week was 57 degrees. You would then start your row with the light blue. And then let's say your average temperature for, again, then the next week was dropped down to 44. So then you would change to the dark blue. And then you'll have this color pattern stripes. And in this, it just continues on until, and then we're going to do 52 weeks of this. So we're going to have this go for the whole year. And I'm going to post a video of the progress every week. And then like I said on Ravelry, so I showed you the page. I'm going to have you post your progress and your videos of your progress on the Ravelry page. So that at the end of the year, when we get to the last week, we will have prizes for first, second, and third place. And I'm going to have you guys vote on the person who, for the places. So you'll go through and you'll send to me on a comment in the either on my Facebook page or on Ravelry or on YouTube. You'll send me or an email at sowhathomeparty@gmail.com. You send me your picks for the top 3 that you think should win in order for first, second, and third place. And then I will compile the answers, and of those, the ones that get the most votes will be the winners. And then there'll be prizes to come, and the closer that gets to that, obviously we don't want to wish the year away, but when it gets to that part of the time of the year, we will talk about the prizes and what you can win. But do know that the prizes will be very fun, and we'll accommodate everyone. This is open to everyone. So if you have a friend or family member that likes to crochet or knit, please have them join the fun with this group. And like I said, I talked a little bit about that first video. I guess I did do a video already once in the beginning of this year when the year first started, that I have a whole bunch of new stuff planned for the channel. I hope that the content is continuing to be good. And so this is the first thing of the new things for the channel. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. But I also want to take this time to say a huge thank you to all my new subscribers. And a little mini shout out to my dad at Heaven's Gates Cherry Farms, which I'll put a link below. He did a shout out recently to my channel on his channel, and I really appreciate it. And So for those of you that came from there, thank you so much and welcome. I hope that you find this to be fun and a relevant place to find information about crafting. And like I said, I mainly use yarn and fiber in crochet, but I do try to do projects on other things. And we're going to be having some more tutorials coming up soon. I've got a Cricut tutorial. We're going to have I'm going to revamp my series on the top 21 crochet styles. And also I have a project going, a WIP, as most people in the crochet and knit world know it, which means work in progress. I have a WIP going on that I'll give you a little sneak peek of. So I'm designing my own pattern based on something that I seen on Ravelry once. And so I want to design my own pattern, and then I haven't decided if I'm just going to sell the finished products or sell the pattern and the finished products, or what I'm going to do. But this is a little sneak peek, and if you think you know what my design based on these things here that I'm trying to design, if you think you know what it is, please comment down below and let me see, and I will tell you if you're right or wrong after we get a few comments. But this is a sneak peek of the pattern I'm hoping to finish writing. This is the head, just to help you a little bit. This is the head of what I'm designing, and then this red color will be the body, and the blue will be the pants. So if you think you know what I'm designing, go ahead and take a guess and see, and let me know what you think. But yeah, so, and again, like I said, thank you to all the new subscribers. I really appreciate you coming on board, and I hope that everything works out to be to your liking. And for those of you who are here from before, again, thank you for sticking around, and stay tuned for all the new and exciting things that are coming up on the channel. And again, here's a picture of that temperature gauge that we're going to use. If you have any questions on how this is going to work, please don't hesitate to ask. I will explain it here to you, and in just a minute we're going to start. We're going to start with the first column or row of our blanket, and the stitch we're going to use is the C2C stitch. And if you're not familiar with that, that stands for corner to corner stitch. And just pardon my camera here, I'm doing it freehand today. So here is one of the WIPs from the picture on Ravelry that I showed you. Let's see, let me go back to the group here, and I'll go to the page where I had the WIP at, craft all the things. So right here is one of my projects I have going on. Of course, I have this cool granny square purse I'm making from the Annie's Hook and Needle Club. But based on that project, I liked the way that the bag looked on that. So I'm actually using the corner to corner stitch and using this sweet roll from Premier. And I'm going to make a version of that bag. But so this is the corner to corner stitch. And the reason they call it that is, as you can see, it works from this corner here. You work from one corner to the other corner. You have to decide how big you want it. So for my purposes for the project I'm making here, I'm going to make this 16 by 16. And then when I get to 16 across, which is when it will be 16 to 16, I will then start decreasing to make this a square. And that is how we are going to do our blanket. We are going to work from corner to corner. And I believe I figured it up to week 26. So when we get to week 26, which I have it written down somewhere, I don't remember, I think that's around May. So again, when we get to that point in the year, that is when we will finish our last across, and then we will start coming the downward to form the rest of the blanket. So by the time we get to 52 weeks, our blanket will be complete. But this is just a mini little sample of something else I'm using that stitch for, so you can kind of get the idea. And if you look closely, it's like squares on top of squares. So it's a really fun stitch. It works up really quick, and it'll be a WIP that you'll have throughout the year. And when we first start, the first color we do, we're going to do a couple rows just so we can get that color. Because if you just did one square, it isn't really enough. So for the first week, we're going to do 3 rows. And then after that, I haven't decided, but I think we're going to do 1 or 2. I just don't want the blanket to be massive, obviously. So I think we'll do 2 rows of each strip color after that for your average for the week. And like I said, in order to figure that up, you take your high and low temperatures and you average them out for the week. So in just a minute, I'll come back and I'll show you how to do the first row for week 1. Okay, so what we're going to do is start off with explaining how to figure out your temp. So you're going to take a calendar or a piece of paper, or however you want to do it. And I just have a notebook here. And so on the calendar, I wrote down every day's high. Because our blanket, we're going to use the high of the day. So my average, so I took for every day of the week. So then you take all those highs, and let's say, you know, they're 20 degrees and it's 30 degrees Tuesday and 40 degrees, you know, Wednesday, and blah, 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 and so on. And then you take all 7 of those numbers and divide it by 7, and that'll give you your average. So for week 1, my average is 43 degrees. And I don't know if you can see that on there. So according to our chart, 43 degrees, if you remember, 43 degrees on our chart is the range right there, the 33 to 43 degrees. So our first row for this week, for the first week of 2019's temperature blanket, is going to be green. So what we're going to do, if you don't remember how to do the C2C Stitch, don't worry, because I'm going to show you again. I do have a video on my page where we did make for a craft along of the month, we did do a purse with the C2C Stitch, and I will put an iCard up here so in case you want to reference that. But I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do it here real quick anyway. So you're going to take your yarn, and this is, I'm using, all of the yarn I'm using is from Big Twist. It is a medium 4 or worsted weight, and the recommended hook size for this is an H, which is what I'm using here, an H or an 8 or 5.00 millimeter, wherever you're from and whichever it goes for you. And then 1 ball of each color should be sufficient, but you know, as the year goes, if you need more yarn, that's okay to buy more. So what we're going to do is we're going to be using the corner to corner or C2C stitch. And if you need, also real quick, if you need to reference the chart, I did put a picture of it in the Ravelry Group's thread for this. So if you need to remember or jot it down, if you want to follow along and make the exact same one as me, or if you want to use that as your guide for your blanket, I did put it there. So for this project, I know some people like to use the magic ring for a starting point, but for this, since we're not going in a circle, just however you start off your chains will work fine. I like to wrap the yarn like this around my finger so that it crosses over and lays like this, and then I pick this yarn up here, put it over, and pull that up. Then you just have to loop it onto your hook and just tighten it up slightly. You don't want to do it too tight because then you won't be able to get back in there. And then we will get started. So to do the C2C stitch, corner to corner stitch, you need to chain 6. So we're going to chain 6. So that means you're going to wrap the yarn around your hook in case you're new to crochet and pull through. And that creates your first chain. All right, so we need 5 more of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. That gives us a total of 6 chains. If you can see them there. Oh, got my hair on there. You have to excuse my cat hair. All right, so there's 6 chains there. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do a double crochet, and this blanket works up really quick because it's nothing but double crochets, and it's just on how you do them. So double crochet, in case you're not familiar, this is how we'll do it. So you wrap the yarn around the hook. You're going to count 4 chains down from the hook. 1, 2, 3, 4, and stick your hook in here like this into the chain. So now it should look like this. You're going to wrap the yarn around the hook again, pull through. So now it should look like this. You have 3 loops on your hook, and then you're going to yarn over one more time, pull through 2. Now you have 2 loops on your hook, yarn over one more time and pull through 2, and you've completed a double crochet. Now that first, the reason why you counted down 4 is because see how it built it up right here? That counts as your one of your double crochets, because every square in this stitch will have 4 double crochets. Excuse me. And as you can see here on my example, if you look closely, there are 4 double crochets. So there's 1, 2, 3, and then right here this is covered up because we have it. Let's see if it works. See it better on this one. Okay, you can see it better on this one. It gets covered up as you do the stitch. But this one here, if you can see, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And this is the square that we're going to create for the first corner. All right. So now we need to do 2 more double crochets to complete this square. So wrap over, yarn over, put through the chain, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through the last 2. All right, and we need 1 more. Go into that last stitch, crochet into that last stitch, and you now have completed your first square of your 2019 temperature blanket. Now, as I said before, I'm going to do 2 more rows just so, because this counts as row 1. I know that sounds weird because it's just a square, but this does count as row 1. So we're going to do 2 more rows with this stitch just to continue, so you can see how to do it. And then next week, well, today is Saturday, so I may even post the video tomorrow because tomorrow starts the beginning of the week, which means I would have this week's temperature for next week's video. But when we do post the next video, we will then move on to the next color, and that is how the blanket will progress. And like I said before, in between each month, so in the end of January, so there'll be 4, we should have 4 consistent stripes for each month. When we get to end of January, we will then introduce the gray as 1 row just to separate the months so that we kind of you can see how the year progressed. And then in week 26, we will do our last progression row, and we will then begin our decrease rows to make the blanket become a square. All right, so let's continue. So how you will work this stitch. So this is your first row, and how to continue making it go in this pattern here, like you see, we're going to end up we're going to make this next row. So what we're going to do is turn your work. So I always turn it this way, and it seems to work great. Turn your work so that the square turns to the left. So now we've turned our work. You always begin every first row with the C2C stitch with chaining 6. So we're going to chain 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So now we've chained 6. And just like before when we did this first square, we're going to count down 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're going to double crochet into that. Okay, so there's our first 2 double crochets, the one that was created when we counted down 4, and then the one we just made. And now we're going to go do 2 more to complete the square. Okay, so now that we have our 4, and sometimes it's a little hard to see the first row, but it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now that we have our first row, or first square for that second row, we need to join it so that it sits on top of this one, because then it's going to be like this. So what you do is you use your hook or your fingers and find that last post of the double crochet in that other row, and we're going to slip stitch this square to this one. So put your hook in. I'll show you again. Put your hook in, grab that yarn, pull it through, and to slip stitch it, we're just going to pull it through that hole, and now you've laid that on top of there, and now we can create the next square for row 2. And just as a side note, every row, so this is row 1, it had 1 square. Row 2 will have 2 squares. Row 3 will have 3 squares. So that's another way for you to keep track of what row you're on, because the number of squares in your diagonal is the row. So if you see 1, 2, 3, 4 rows here, 1, 2, 3, 4 squares. And that'll help you keep track on where you are at. And this is why I love this stitch, because it's super easy and it works up super fast. So let's do this again. So for the next square in the row, so with the first square and the first square of every row, we always do it. You chain 6 and you do the double crochets. Then to continue on in the row, all you have to do is now, since you've slip stitched to this square, you chain 3, 1, 2, and 3. And now you do your 3 more double crochets, because this is your first one, just like the first one in the square. You're going to do 3 more double crochets into that where you slip stitched, into that post on that first square. All right, and 3. And now you have created row 2. All right, so just like in the other rows and every row after this, for our progression rows, you will turn your work and we're going to crochet, or we're going to chain 6 more. 4, 5, 6. Get your hook ready. Count down 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Put your hook in and create your double crochet. This will be the last row for the beginning part for the week 1. And it's only reason this one's going to have more than 2 rows is because it just is the beginning one. So I just wanted to make sure that there was enough of this color to begin. And then every row after this, except for the row for the divider row for the months, will have two rows of color. All right, so now just like before, we're going to join this to this square. So we're going to find our last post here. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to insert the hook and slip stitch to close it up. So now you can see we have 1, 2, 3, and we're on row 3. So see how that all coincides? Now we're going to chain up 3. And remember, you only chain 6 for that first square of the row. All the rest of the chains are always 3 except for that first square. Now we're going to double crochet in there. There's 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so now we got to slip stitch again. Find your area, slip stitch, chain up 3, 1, 2, 3, and double crochet 3. And that is all the basics of how to do corner to corner. It really is a simple stitch. When you get more comfortable with this stitch, you can adapt different graph patterns. We're using this just to make a simple blanket, but you can adapt graph patterns like from a cross stitch pattern, or any kind of graphed out pattern, and you just make sure that, and that gets a little more detailed because then you have to have bobbins, or you can cut the threads and have them weaved in, but you would just change the colors and you would follow the graph in a diagonal form. And let me grab a stitch marker. Those come in, if you don't have one, I would get some, because it's come in really handy, because then I can take my hook out, put this in here, and now I'm good to go until I get to the next time I need to come back to this, which will be next week's, or because today's Saturday. So when I add my week color, we will see what color I am at and go from there. But yeah, this is the color that is first. So we have 3 rows, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. All right, so this is our first couple rows of the 2019 temperature blanket. Again, don't forget to check out the Ravelry group. I'll be posting there updates of my progress, and I would love to see your progress on this. And especially since you may be using a different color temperature gauge, which would be fine. Also, you know, when you post your progress, let me know what part of the country or world that you're in. I'm in Michigan, so this is where I'm from. This was the average temperature, but I'd love to know where your temperatures, you know, where you live. Even, you don't have to be real exact. You know, I understand this is social media, so if you just want to you know, if you happen to be in England, just say England. I don't need to have a specific city unless you're comfortable with that, but just a general area of the world of where you're from and where that temperature's coming from, and that would be awesome. And don't forget, if you're new to the channel, welcome. If you're old to the channel, welcome as well. I'm glad to still have you along. And if you like this video and would like to see more of this, don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell so you'll be updated when the newest week's addition to this blanket comes out. And also don't forget to like this video if you liked it, and also leave me a comment. Let me know if you're going to participate. If you have any questions about this blanket, please leave it in the comments below. And like I said, I'd love to see your progress on my Ravelry page and also my Facebook group, wherever you'd love to post it. But we will be doing a contest on the ones posted on the Ravelry group, so keep that in mind. And again, thanks for watching. And also, again, I'd like to say thank you to my dad, Hoverin's Gates Cherry Farm, for the shout out. I really appreciate it. So like I said, thank you and welcome to 2019, our temperature blanket. And as always, so what is in your craft room today?